I'm looking forward to being able more and more and more keeping my balance around contrast. I was one of the guys who was not lying at the beginning of the workshop because I don't like it at the moment, the contrast. It's just minor things. I know that my basic grid is filling in with well-being from all different, all kind of different things, but I do attract worrying people.
What you may be saying to us, and we're going to take this conversation into a place it has never been before.
Oh, yes.
We're just going to settle in here and have fun with this, because this is where this conversation of deliberate creation has now evolved to. We've been saying for a long time that contrast is all part of it. And you all take it to mean that you have to put up with what is not wanted in order to understand what is wanted. But consider for a moment, just let this sentiment settle into you so that you can really feel it in the way that we mean it. What if the very contrast that you think you don't want is a gift of the vortex moving into your grid? What if it is the grid filling in with the next logical step, given the whole of who you are and what you want? Are you following? In other words, what if the contrast that you think you don't want is not something unwanted? You're not being tested by it. It's a piece of information. It's a piece of experience in order to help you formulate with greater clarity what you are wanting. And since you are expanding beings, since we are all eternal beings, then don't you think it's time for us to embrace the contrast? And in doing so, don't you think it's time to embrace your own worthiness and to stop condemning yourself when you stand in a place that you or someone else would deem not perfect? Don't you want to say, those beatings or that experience, that thing I thought that I did not want, was something attracted by the best part of me, not attracted by the worst part of me? That's the piece that we wanted to stick in here. Because you keep thinking that when contrast comes, that it's an indication of something that you have done wrong, when it never is. It's an indication of something else that you are doing right on your continuing path of eternal evolution, you see. And in the moment you embrace the contrast is a good thing, as part of the process, as clarifying, not frustrating, or as stimulating, not embarrassing, or as valuable, not off the track, as on the track, not off the track.
I get that, but then if I get physical challenges because of it, then I'm thinking, hey, I am doing something wrong because I'm putting sticks in my wheel.
Well, the physical challenges only mean, in other words, if the more it manifests, it just means you didn't catch the early indicators, and you needed the necessary contrast to get bigger in order to help you to come to a more determined statement.
But I'm laughing about myself because I do see that I'm aware of it happening, and I'm able to push it away.
You're doing everything right except asking this question from the standpoint that you should stop that. You see what we're getting at?
Yeah,
in other words, why not say, this is how my life works. This is how my life works, and it's working really well for me. And I wouldn't trade any of it because I'm having such a robust, frolicking good time in the process. Can you hear that? Can you feel that? Somebody convinced you along your physical trail that you are here and that you ought to be over there and that you should go directly there and you should do it now. And if you don't, there's something wrong with you. And that was a flawed premise. Because the actuality of it, what you knew from your broader non-physical perspective, is here you are, and blessed that is over there, and oh, is it ever going to be joyful on your way over there? Joyful, Abraham? What if I have to go through unwanted things? What if I have sadness? What if I have sickness? What if I experience unwanted things? That doesn't sound very much like deliberate creation. Sounds like focusing to us.
And what if it is?
Sounds like defining to us. Sounds like clarifying to us. Sounds like launching new rockets to us. Sounds like the reason that you came into this experience to us. You didn't say, I'll go, but I want to go into a feathered nest. Feather my nest and then I'll go.
But
I'll be bored, but I'll get over it.
But Abraham, I know all that.
We know you know.
Yeah,
but there's something you don't know. Let's figure out what it is.
What if it's not my contrast, but if it's the people around me that are having contrast and they wanting to hear my version of dealing with the contrast, and then when I tell them how to deal with the contrast, they don't want to listen to it because they want me to commiserate, and then I retreat myself from it, and then they are pissed off with me because I'm not a commiserating person that I used to be. I used to be so empathetic, and now I'm so disappointed to my parents because I'm not listening to their agony anymore, and I love them very much, and I get so tired.
Everyone's relating. So here's our question to you.
And then people think I'm cold, egoistical, and egoist. And I say, yeah, I am. And I'm enjoying it. See ya. Which is fine with colleagues or with people that are not my close friends. But you see,
there's a very big piece of this that you're leaving out of your explanation.
But you're going to give it to me now.
Yeah. And that really big piece that you're leaving out of it is that it bothers you when they are upset with you.
How can I stop that?
Therefore, you're not where you think you are. In other words, not commiserating with them is one thing. Commiserating about them after the fact is another thing. And that's what you're doing here. You're commiserating about them after the fact. In other words, you are bothered. And, and until you're not bothered by them being bothered, you haven't figured it out.
True. But help me figure it out. I am still bothered. I know I'm bothered. And I'm laying in my bed. I'm bothered.
Well, what it really comes down to is when you're standing in a place where you are really in alignment, you don't mind their discord.
I know.
Because your alignment...
I'm so not aligned then.
But you see...
And that pisses me off too.
The reason that you're not aligned with their discord is because you're not aligned with your discord. The whole reason that it irritates you is because what they do takes you out of your alignment.
True, yeah.
And so this is what this whole last segment has been about, is making peace with wherever you are.
Yeah.
Stop the judgment on yourself. And in the moment that you stop the judgment about the rightness or the wrongness of where you are, then you'll be able to be more forgiving relative to where they are. And once you get that little piece into it, in other words, you'll actually look forward to a meaty conversation that will take you into another place of clarity. And you'll find yourself, you'll almost be saying, come on, bring it to me, give me your best punches, give me your best whatever you've got, because I'm standing here in this place of such alignment that you will not take me off my vibrational steadiness no matter what's going on with you. In other words, I'm going to be the one that dominates the vibration here, because I know these things. I know, first of all, that all is well, even that stuff that you think isn't. You're not going to take me away from my alignment because I'm not acknowledging that you're doing something wrong in your misalignment. And that's the piece.
Okay.
That's the piece.
Ooh, I got that.
Yes, you did. Because the teacher to the very core of your being, you see, you keep thinking that what your world is about, we are teachers too. You keep thinking that what your world is about is bringing everyone to a perfect place where there will no longer be any discord, or where there will never be any negative emotion, or where they will not voice their negative emotion to you. That if they're voicing their negative emotion to you, then it is symptomatic of what's wrong with them and therefore what's wrong with you.
Right.
But what about a teacher that is standing in a place of attracting those who are wanting the next and the next and the next and the next and the next? You have to make peace with their discord, but before you can make peace with their discord, you have to make peace with your discord. And that's what we've been talking about all day here today. It's not a wrong thing to feel negative emotion. Oh, I am so upset that I have sensors in my hands that tell me about this hot stove. As soon as I get away from this hot stove, and as soon as the skin grows back, I'm going to have asbestos pads sewn to the palm of my hands and to my side also, because never again is this hot stove going to bother me. And I'm also, to make it less painful, I'm going to inject some painkiller, some Novocaine or something into my hands so that this is not such an uncomfortable thing. Or we say, here's a really good idea. You could not touch a hot stove. Stove, I condemn you for your hotness. You need to cease to be, because I can't control myself. I cannot control myself. Therefore, you need to cease being hot. Because if you weren't hot, I could never get hurt. If you weren't negative, I could never feel negative emotion. But
So-
I can learn to keep my distance. I can benefit by the stove. I can benefit by the contrast that someone is living. I can understand that it's contrast that they are living, that they are bringing to me. I can bring them benefit by shining a brighter light on it. I can acknowledge the perfection that we are all living in. And so these are the steps to do that. And you think you know this, but we're going to say them anyway. You have to accept that you are an eternal being and that you are always changing and expanding. And if you are going to accept that premise, then you have to joyfully accept contrast. And if you're joyfully accepting contrast, then you have to accept it from everyone around you as well, you see. Where did you get to this place? We're speaking to all of you, but especially to you. To this place of demanding such perfection from yourself. In other
Because
words,
I have felt perfection from myself, and I want
but
to
you see,
keep on.
in what regard have you felt
Every
perfection
regard.
from yourself?
Physical well-being, financial well-being, meeting with people, casual encounters.
Yes. We don't disagree with
everything.
any of this, but perfection means endedness, and you are not ever going to be done.
Thank you.
You're always reaching for something that is more. Therefore, you can't be perfect. You can't be done. You've got to reach for more, and so you do need contrast. And some of those buggers are bringing it to you, but you're condemning the fact that they're bringing it to you because you are demanding perfection. You have this flawed premise that says, I should always be perfect. Our response back to that is, you're not ever going to be.
No.
You're not ever going to be. There's always going to be more that you can be.
So where comes the part in that I summoned too much energy so that I became sick last week? 2 days before this workshop, I was in bed with fever. I decided I'll just ignore it. I'll come anyway. Not wild horses could keep me from meeting with you. And here I am, and I feel fine. But so what is the part where I summoned too much energy? So I demanded too much perfection of myself. I didn't line up with the perfection of that. Or, you know what I mean? I'm sure you can read my question better than I can tell it in my poor English.
There are 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 flawed premises in that statement. It'd take us longer than we have to unravel it also.
Can you write them to me? No.
We can give them to you here quickly.
Okay,
so, overwhelmment is the emotional state of being that you feel when you are summoning more energy than you're up to speed with. That's logical, isn't it?
Yes.
If you're summoning more than you are personally, vibrationally up to speed with, then you feel overwhelmed. When that overwhelmment causes you to focus your attention upon other factors or other people that you are then blaming for the overwhelmment, then it begins a momentum that equals sickness. In other words, we're speaking specifically to you. That's the progression that has taken place here. But at the heart of all of that, we would like to stand here together and express this to you until you get it. And so we're going to summon everyone who knows everything about you and focus for 2 or 3 minutes here in explaining this to you because of the intensity and the power of your wanting to understand. The most important thing that we want you to know, well, that felt good, didn't it? That's an important piece that you had not taken into consideration. You have not understood the clarity and the determination with which we focus upon you, you imperfect, sick person. You can't get sick enough or flawed enough or imperfect enough to cease being the object of our attention, you see. And that's what you wish for others, you see. And you cannot get us. You can argue with us. You are our favorite arguing friend. Doesn't slow us down, doesn't hurt our feelings, doesn't upset our resolve, doesn't keep us from knowing, doesn't keep us from loving, doesn't keep us from attempting to explain it to you yet one more time. That was a really good piece for you.